You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Simon hasn't joined us.
Thank you so much for joining me for another incredible session of the African Father in America podcast. I am grateful to be here with you all. We are supposed to have a guest. He's a little bit behind time, but we are going to start anyway. I hope you're all doing well. Hey, Cabs. Hey, Steve. I hope you've all had a wonderful day so far. How are you doing, Cabs? And how are you doing, Steven?
I am well. Good. Just the kids just went off to school, and I just have my coffee here, so I'm good. And the puppies, I've just put them in their little crate, so I can be a bit quiet while I'm listening to the room. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Cabs. And Steven, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Simon. Thank you. I'm looking forward to this session.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, I am also looking forward to this session. Since you are the first one in the clubhouse room, you need to make Cabs and myself moderators and do the job of pinging people into the room and all those things that we do as moderators. And for those who are joining us on YouTube, thank you so much. We are going to be live streaming on YouTube and also Clubhouse as usual. We are anticipating a really special guest here today. So as soon as he joins us, we will include him in the conversation. But for now, we are going to continue on. We will start with our proverb for the day, which is from Kenya, and it says that when you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. When you take a knife from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. I would love to know what this proverb brings to your mind when you are listening to this proverb, especially if you're from Kenya. I want you to share in the comment what this proverb means to you. When you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. This Kenyan proverb speaks volumes about positive reinforcement, and I want to share 3 nuggets of wisdom that we prepared for you in relation to this proverb. And the first one says that replace negative behavior with positive actions. The second one says that encourage learning and craftsmanship. And the third one says that discipline doesn't have to be punitive. So I want you to also share with us your own nugget of wisdom when you hear this proverb from Kenya. But for now, I want to just invite some of our friends who are already here with us on Clubhouse so that they can also share their perspectives in regards to this proverb. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And if you're on Clubhouse, make sure you take a minute to ping in 3 to 5 people into the room to join us for this conversation. Thank you so much. Let's hear briefly. I'll start with you, Steve, because I do need you to, first of all, let me know if you know how to make other people moderators. And in the future, if the room is late, it's okay for you to wait for another 5 minutes, or we communicate on the WhatsApp group just to make sure that we do this part right. So go ahead and make Cabs, myself, Lavender and Stella moderators and help us by bringing people onto the stage. Thank you so much. And also share with us your own perspective, Steve. When you hear this proverb from Kenya, that says when you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. What is it that comes to your mind when you hear this? Share with us where you are joining us from as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. Cabs, could you just go first and allow me to come in a moment?
Excellent. Cabs, go ahead, please. Go ahead and share with us where you're joining us from and what today's proverb means to you as Steve figures out this technical part. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm excited to be here this morning from Missouri. Welcome to everybody in the room. I see Winnie down there. Kasiwa, hi. Good to see you again. What's going on, brother? And Lavender, of course, and Stella. Good to see you guys. Of course, Stephen, we spoke earlier in the room before people had come in. Of course, Simon. So now, usually the proverb is written up there. So Simon, if you could just say it to me again, then I can something about giving the child wood.
Yeah, it says that when you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
So
you.
when you take, yeah, I mean that is just helping care for your child because a knife can cut you. You can put yourself in harm's way. So I think my understanding of the proverb is put the child in a position where they are not going to hurt themselves, but giving them alternatives. Because it's sort of like an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So if you have nothing in front of you, you're going to pick the wrong thing. So put the right things in front of your child. That's my thought. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Thank you for those perspectives. And thank you to everyone who is just joining us. I see that a few people are joining us on YouTube and also on Clubhouse. We are being joined by a few of our brothers and sisters for today's conversation. Your presence means a lot. I want to let you know that we are discussing a beautiful Kenyan proverb as the center of our conversation today. It says that when you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. I am just going to pin it at the top of the room in just a second, and I want to invite Stella or Lavender. Lavender earlier on mentioned that she might not be able to speak today, so I'll just go straight to Stella. Stella, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts in regards to today's proverb from Kenya? Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. Hello Simon. This is Stella. I'm joining from Kenya and right now I'm in Kaloleni. I'm just taking a walk to get to know this place. Yeah, so today's proverb is a nice one because it talks about. Hello, can you hear me?
Oh yes, we hear you very well. Keep going. And I love Kaloleni, by the way. I used to pass by Kaloleni all the time on my way to school, and I did so many things around there. I have many friends that still live there, even relatives.
Yeah, I'm just walking around. They have a nice road. So I was saying that the proverb is a nice one because it talks about sensitive young people who sometimes can just want to explore. And it's always funny how sometimes they want to explore with things that can be harmful to them and other people. So the proverb is basically trying to advise on how you can handle the situation. And I know in most cases, most parents, they would substitute the knife with something nice like sweets or ice cream. Yeah, because when you give them something they think is nice, then they let go of the knife easily or the harmful thing that they were holding. So I agree with the proverb, and I'm grateful to the ancestor who came up with it because it's quite educative. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stella, for taking the time and for joining us for today's conversation. It really means a lot. And I do want to just quickly give a shout out to Hussein, Winnie and Nazil and Rocky and Kesiwa, who are with us in the room and are not able to speak at the moment. And also a big shout out to everyone joining us on YouTube. I would love to know where exactly you are joining us from. So share with us in the comments where in the world you're joining us from. But also share with us what today's proverb from Kenya means to you. The proverb says that when you take a knife from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. And Stella just shared with us some really, really beautiful nuggets of wisdom. I want to open the floor. I want to come back to you, Stephen, and thank you again for your continued support. Share with us your perspective as well. Okay, I suspect that Stephen is still, working on the technical stuff that he was doing earlier. I really appreciate you, Stephen, for being here early and for doing what you are able to do to support the work that we're doing here. Now, I want to, again, just take a moment and check in with everyone who is already on the stage. This is really like a village. We are always gathering here as if there is a fire in the middle, and we are seated around the fire and we're having a beautiful conversation. Earlier I just learned that Cabs has a cup of coffee. She's just enjoying. This is one of the ways that I also grab my cup of coffee and I start my day on a positive note with these beautiful African proverbs and with the words of our ancestors. And there's no better way for me to start my day. So if this is something that is valuable for you, if this is the village fire that you like getting your warmth from at the beginning of every day, let me know in the comments too, especially if you're on YouTube, but also on Clubhouse. There's that chat. And I also want to make sure you're all sharing the room. I haven't seen any single share of this room since we started, so I am going to lead by example and do that. And I also want to encourage you all to, take a minute, ping in 3 to 5 people to join us for the conversation. If you're on Clubhouse, if you're on YouTube, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and you share the link with others so that we can bring in the whole village here for today's conversation. I want to invite now my brother Earth. Brother Earth, how are you doing? Thank you again for your continued support. I want to see what your own perspective on this proverb is. It says that when you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. Thank you.
Peace and love, family. It's Brother Earth from the North Carolina territory. Greetings, Simon, and greetings to the whole village. And this is a very beautiful proverb. I think it's very direct and straight to the point. The family was right along lines with what was on my mind. But I'm going to read something from the Moorish Holy Quran real quick. And this is from the Holy Instructions for Thy Children. I read something the other day, but since we're still dealing with the children, but it says, prepare him early with the instructions and season his mind with the maximums of truth. And here, this is right here what I relate to the proverb. It says, watch the being and his inclinations, set him right in his youth, and let no evil habit gain strength with his years. And with that being said, is as parents, we watch over our children, and we see them getting out of line or doing something that could be harm or danger to them. It's very important that we redirect their energy and their mind to something more positive, constructive, just like you said with the 3 points. This is Brother Earth. I'm going to park my plane right there, family. Peace and love.
Peace and love to you, Brother Earth. Thank you for your incredible contribution as well. I just see that we've been joined on YouTube by Taban Otiaro, who says that, my perspective is when advising a youngster on the dangers of something, it is a responsibility to advise on the positive way to deal with the situation. the proverb can be used to reduce criticism. I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you, Taban, for joining us. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. And I deeply appreciate your participation today. I want to check in with our community here on Clubhouse. We've heard from Carbs, we've heard from Brother Earth, and now I want to go to Kesiwa, who is a beautiful, supporter of the conversation that we host here in the African Father in America podcast. And I want to hear your voice, share with us your own thoughts on this proverb, and also let us know where you're joining us from as well. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Simon, thank you so much for the compliment. I'm Kesua. I'm calling from California. I'm originally from Ghana, and want to give a special shout out to Amma, Mashrifa, and Winnie in the house. They just disappeared, but it's okay. So I think with this proverb, I'm still thinking about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was thinking, well, there, as I'm thinking that as a parent, you don't want them. You will have a certain level of control over the weapon of choice. I'm thinking that, kids are already very curious. They're like sponges. So if you're gonna take away something like a knife, which, as Africans is already very symbolic, right? In some cultures, this is like a rite of passage or whatever. Then it's like you better have a really good reason you're taking it away, because it's so symbolic of so many other things. But then I was thinking, well, that's not really it. So honestly, I'm here to just really learn what other people are sharing, because my train of thought is all over the place, to be honest. So thank you. This is Kaswan. I'm done speaking.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Kesio. I deeply appreciate that. And also, about these proverbs and about this, kind of conversation, it's an ongoing thing. There's another proverb that says that wisdom is like fire. We take it from each other. And I definitely think that as you're speaking, I was also thinking of here in America, if you take away this proverb from Kenya and apply it to America, especially in families where guns are the knives, you'll find that when a pistol is taken away from a gun, they're given a big gun. They're not given firewood, and that's part of the problem in America. You find that even recently there was a very young student that shot people in their school. And America has a history of children not being given a piece of wood. They're being given a machete when a knife is taken away from them. So as you're speaking, it just occurred to me that this proverb could actually be applied to the gun violence situation here in America, but also in a lot of countries where we are experiencing a lot of violence. This is a great piece of advice that can be applied in such situations. I want to thank you all for joining us for today's conversation here in the African Father in America podcast. We are doing this every Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that is 5 p.m. East African Time. And I just, want to appreciate everyone who is watching. And I also want to appreciate everyone who is listening in. I feel that we've gone through the whole stage. And I just want to check in with Stephen if you want to contribute now or if you want us to continue on with the program. But also I want to welcome, a couple of people. Joseph Kafunda, thank you for being here. And Ned and Rocky and Musherifa, thank you for being here. it means a lot. I want to, just give you space, Steve. Feel free to share your perspectives now.
Thank you, Simon. I'm joined here with Taban. He just commented on YouTube, and I'm also joined here with another big follower of Clubhouse and AFIAP, Mike, who's also from our community and a friend of One Vibe, and they are listening and following through. So my take with today's proverb is, as a perspective from the parent point of view, is for us to lay a proper foundation that we would want to leave behind for our kids tomorrow. If we do not lay a proper foundation today, then tomorrow we will not be leaving them on a proper and solid position to carry on with their lives themselves. So whatever way that we shape their lives today will determine what they become tomorrow. So that's my understanding and thoughts about this proverb, Simon. Thank you for having me. Michael, would you like to share your thoughts?
Big up, Simon, for hosting this program. It is a very innovative program. And on this proverb today, knife symbolizes destruction. Knife is what are used by bandits. And wood symbolize innovation. In simple terms, when you take a knife from a child and give him wood, it's like inviting this towards innovation. In African perspective, like knife, when you give someone a knife, you give them like when you give a child a knife, it can hurt himself. But when you give them a wood, they can be innovative and transform this wood to something that is very useful in their lives. So that is my take. Thank you.
Thank you again, Simon. That was our moment from One Vibe Kisumu. Back to you.
Thank you, Steve. I love that. I love this. Every day you have somebody next to you over there that you add to the conversation, and that's just really, really beautiful. I want to, thank you and thank everyone who is listening and watching now. We are coming to the tail end of our conversation today. It seems our guest did not make it today, so I will just find out why later on. Sometime things happen that way. But I want to again thank you, Rocky, for always showing up and supporting. And Ned, thank you for always showing up and supporting. I just want to check in with Cabs and Stella and Lavender. I want to give you all space. If any one of you has anything that you want to share, this is a good time. I do know that Lavender asked to be excused today. She's not, feeling very well at this moment. So I'll keep the floor open. Hey, Lavender.
There's one point I wanted to add, and to the One Vibe Africa team, is that the work we do is a big example for today's proverb. When you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood. So what we are doing with One Vibe and mainly our education, music and art program is taking away the knives, the machetes, and the bad ideas and mindsets and the influence on violence when it comes to politics or domestic abuse. And we arm these students with music instruments. We arm these students with microphones to share how they feel through music. That's all I wanted to say. And please don't forget to share our trips to Kenya today, to your friends and family. Remember, the website is www.onevibexperience.com. Thank you so much, Simon.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lavender, for joining us. I deeply appreciate it. And I want to, again, thank you, to everybody who contributed today and to everybody that is going to contribute tomorrow and everybody that contributed over the last many episodes of the African Father in America podcast. I want to see if there's anybody else who has a comment. The floor is open. Go ahead, Cabs or Stella or Kesiwa. The floor is open. Just closing remarks.
I'm curious, with this proverb, is it from the perspective of the parent, or is it from the perspective of maybe the grandparent, or because I'm still confounded by it, and I'm trying to understand the context of how this proverb would be used in Kenyan culture, or because I'm trying. Anyway, that's what's coming to mind, and I think it would help me better formulate an opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Kesiwa. I think I honestly don't know whose perspective it's coming from, but as you are speaking, I thought about another proverb from Kenya also, or from the Kiswahili-speaking region of East Africa, that says, when a child cries for a razor blade, you should give them the razor blade, which is, it's different from this, but it's also the same, because it's solving a problem by making the problem worse, allowing the child to actually experience the knife in that case, the razor blade in that case, so that they learn by themselves. But in this case, it's almost like the child is about to harm somebody else. They're not curious about the danger of the razor blade, and the razor blade is small, the cut will be smaller, but the knife is just dangerous for everybody, but the wood is safer for everybody. So I don't know whose perspective the proverb is coming from, but I think it's applicable to the parent. It could come from the parent, it would come from the grandparent, it could come from a neighbor, it could come from even it, with African context, especially the Kenyan context, it could totally come from a stranger, because a stranger could find the child playing with a knife and the parents are not there, and the stranger would literally take the knife away and give them a piece of wood. So I think it could come from anybody. At the same time, this proverb reminds me of how in Kenya we have a cult. It's called the Legio Maria, and they walk around with wooden knives, knives that have been carved very nicely, with wood. And I feel that they are a good example of of just symbolizing what a knife could do and not having the actual knife. So in this situation, it's just a teaching moment for the child. It's just a teaching moment for whoever the knife is being taken away from, and I'll pause there for a moment to see if anybody else has comments on this.
Peace and love, family. This brother Herb Simon, and I'm right along with you in what you're saying. I can see it as somebody who has some wisdom of the ancestors trying to impart some wisdom on somebody else. And like you said, putting it in the context of in America dealing with the guns, when you look at it, like dealing with one of the areas that's gang infested, you can see two people talking, and one of the adults is telling them, if you take the guns and gangs away from them, you have to give them something productive to do in this place. If you don't give them anything productive to do in this place, what do you really think you're doing? You're not solving the problem because Cobb said it earlier. We know what the idle mind ends up going to. So I just think it's very important to show the ones to keep the children involved, engaged in something positive or constructive. And I park my plane right there. Peace and love.
Peace and love to you. Yeah, I also think that, this could apply to so many different contexts too, Even when we think about addiction, I'm not an addiction expert, but when you take something that is dangerous from somebody, if drugs are dangerous for somebody, you have to replace it with something, If not working out is dangerous for somebody, you have to replace it with something that is a little better for them, So I think this is just a reminder, to the broader community and to the, to whoever is responsible, not just for the child, but even for, even for a business, even for an organization, it's just a reminder that when you're solving a problem, you don't leave more problems behind, when you find a problem or when you find a solution, you find a solution that is sustainable, a solution that is not going to leave a lot of damages behind, I think that's the general message. And also, when you think about the 3 nuggets of wisdom that we started the show with, the first one was saying that replace negative behavior with positive actions, and the second one was saying that encourage learning and craftsmanship, because when you give somebody the wood, then you're allowing them to actually think a little more. The knife is a finished product, but the wood is, something that is raw, and they need to figure out, what can I do with this, But with the knife, they are already, doing things with it. And then the final one is discipline doesn't have to be punitive. And a lot of the time, especially in the Kenyan context, if you're found with a knife, somebody might pinch you, somebody might spank you. But instead of that, you're giving them an opportunity to not just forget about the knife, but to think about, maybe you leave them with the knife and the piece of wood so that they can use the knife to carve the piece of wood, because the proverb doesn't say that part, it doesn't say that, you take away the knife and just leave them with the wood only, and the knife is completely hidden. But maybe give them the wood, and they'll ask for the knife, that I need this knife to carve this wood. So I don't know. The Proverbs are meant to leave us with this kind of conversation, with this kind of contemplation, so that we can think and come up with our own conclusions. But I want to come to you, Jay, and Justin, welcome you to the space. Share with us where you are joining us from, and also share with us what is it that comes to your mind when you hear this Kenyan proverb that says, when you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead.
Good morning for those that live in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm in Seattle. This is a really interesting proverb. I was really thinking it through as I was listening to other people talk about their interpretation. And just yesterday was, of course, everyone knows, was a celebration of Martin Luther King's birthday, and just a celebration of everything that he stood for. And there were a lot of amazing activities in different places around the country, and specifically in Seattle. And so I'm part of 4 Black Women Talking, and it was interesting, this proverb sort of related to what we were talking about at Garfield High School. And our subject was healing community through helping our children.
one of the things that was on my mind, even though we were talking about through the educational system and other areas as well, is that one little child that was like 3, maybe 4 years old, maybe, that was holding a gun and knew how to hold a gun. I just can't even fathom a little toddler knowing how to hold a gun and knowing how to point a gun. So getting back to the proverb, I agree that anytime someone has a mindset that is destructive, that is unhealthy, that mindset hasn't been trained to be to use wisdom in their choices, in their decisions and actions, and it's all they know. So you starting as a toddler or even moving into an adult, where there was an incident in Florida yesterday where there was over 1,000 people at an event, and yet an incident happened where there was not agreement. And rather than walking away, they chose to pull out a gun. So a knife symbolizes, just like a gun, that mindset where you're quick to do something dangerous, to do something permanently harmful, because you haven't been trained. You don't have a mind to consider less lethal options or alternative ways of dealing with conflict or disagreement. And so for me, that weapon is an untrained mind, or a mind that's been trained to engage in an unhealthy and an unsafe way of dealing with disagreements and conflicts. And you need to retrain that mind. So that requires a lot of some of the things that we talked about, a lot of patience and love, care, and listening to help that person retrain their way of thinking, so that once they grasp it, they will understand how important it is and how better off they'll be if they choose a way of helping and healing over hurting and harming. And I'll end it there. Thank you so much.
I love that. Thank you, Jay. I just appreciate you for all the work that you do in the community and, for your share right now. I want to welcome Dr. Femi Evans to the room as well. We are sharing and discussing a beautiful Kenyan proverb as the center of our conversation today. It says that when you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. I would love to hear what you have to say about this, and also share with us where in the world you're joining us from in this moment. Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Femi Evans, whenever you are able to share, I would love to hear your voice. Hey, how are you doing? Happy New Year.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very clearly. Yeah, thank you for being here.
Okay. Sorry, I have a little background noise. Can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. The question is really about a proverb. The proverb says that when you take a knife away from a child, give him a piece of wood instead. So I just want to get your perspective on this. I think you've been in this show before. The way we run the show is we bring an African proverb every day and we hear what everyone has to say about it. But it starts, sometime I have a guest that I interview around this proverb and around their story and around the work that they do. And sometimes it's just the village having a conversation like it is today. So we are actually heading towards the end of our time together, but I just want to make sure I create space for you because I know that you have a lot of beautiful things to say.
Okay, so I'm gonna interpret that as if you're gonna take something away from someone, replace it with something better than what you're taking away from them. And I guess in regards to children and correcting them, like I'm a parent, so you can just use it as a form of if they're doing something wrong, correct them in a way that's still positive, help them understand what they're doing.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. And you said what part of the world? So I'm in Atlanta. I am from Guyana. I'm Guyanese. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for the amazing work that you do on Clubhouse and off Clubhouse. I follow some of your work and I've been to some of your rooms as well. So I just appreciate your presence in this moment. And I wish you a wonderful 2023. I just want to be respectful to everyone who is in the room as well. I want to create space for another 2 minutes before we wrap up. So it's popcorn style. If you have anything to share before we close, I just want to create space, especially for those who are on Clubhouse. Then I'll say a few things in closing. Excellent. Thank you all so much. I think we did a great job today, and I'm looking forward to doing this again tomorrow. And remember, we have a few people joining us on YouTube as well. We are live streaming on YouTube, and M. Jewel, who is another great contributor to this conversation, says that in the chat, in the comment section on YouTube, M. Jewel is saying that this proverb is part of the proverb that speaks to a child burning down the village for warmth. I think we discussed that proverb not too long ago. And M. Jewel also says that allowing a child to handle a knife may mean the village isn't keeping a close eye on the child. I love that. That is a perfect way for us to close our conversation today. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, the link is at the top of the room. If you want to be a guest on the show, please connect with Stella, who is right in the middle of the Clubhouse room, or just let me know in the chat, or in my DM. I look at my DMs across social media. My handle across social media is at Okello Javan, and we will be able to, link you up with more information so that you can be a guest on the show. If you want to be a part of this team, we are continuing to grow the numbers of the people who are helping make this conversation possible every Monday to Friday on Clubhouse. So if you want to be a part of that, connect with Stella or Cabs, and we will be able to ensure that you're a part of this conversation consistently. Again, thanks Stephen and Cabs for being here early and for your continued support. Thank you Stella and Lavender for all your hard work. Brother Earth and Kesiwa and Jay and Dr. Femi Evans, thank you. And I also want to give a quick shout out to Neff and Ned and Rocky and Thanos and Michael, who have joined us for the conversation on Clubhouse. And on YouTube, thank you MJWL and Taban and everybody else who contributed there today. This is the last, comment that I'll make, is that in the description on our YouTube video, on this YouTube video, you're going to find a lot of resources that can help you start your own podcast, can help you understand how we do this show. And I want you to take a look at it. Go to the description and you'll see a lot of links that we've listed there that will be useful to you. With that, we mark the end of our conversation today, and we will be back here same time, same place, same vibration. Peace and love.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.